And now we are live. Hello there, this is Mr. Finlis and talking us from Bad English Rex. And this time I'm not alone because here is Comic Rhema with me. Welcome. Uh, how are you right now?
Good, good. I was actually really tired earlier, but this is really helping me out right now. Having some
Oh,
coffee.
I'd love to have some coffee also, but it's not good because it's middle of night right now here. So
Don't no recommend it, not recommend it.
yeah, because well, sometimes it's good. Maybe for next New Year, if we're going to be as late as right now and partying, so maybe then I'll have coffee also night time.
You have
But
coffee in the
hey,
mornings?
every morning, espresso nowadays. Uh, we we started doing espresso nowadays. Well, every morning. And also middle of the day and after that once. So I drink 3 times or 4 times coffee.
Cool.
It's actually it's one of my Sunday routine to have espresso in warmed cup and listen some music and just sit down and maybe read and drink coffee at the same time.
Nice.
But hey, going through Alphabet, it was all originally it was your idea. How did you come with that idea?
I was trying to come up with something different that I don't think anybody has done, specifically going through their collection one letter at a time.
Mm,
But I also wanted to kind of choose records that probably I've never hear or wherever hear anybody talk about them, because most of the stuff that I'm showing are, spiritually related or my faith-based
mm,
related records. Um, that was another factor that kind of played into the idea. Um, and also I wanted to kind of revisit also my collection, kind of see what is some of the stuff I haven't listened to in a while. Um, Come on, reminisce some of the records that were important to me or that really touched me in some way uh, at the time that they came out, um,
mm,
or at the time that I was exposed to those records.
mm,
Yeah, and I tried also to um, I try to make the videos really short, but I also try to kind of dig deeper into the historical importance of the record, or
mm.
kind of get more information. And it's been a pretty cool journey because I found out some new things about the records that I didn't know before.
Mm. Yeah, it has been also for me because like for today, you mentioned it on one of your video, and I already knew band at least some of the songs, but I never listened all of their music.
Mm.
But now, because of you, I listened from beginning to end, everything, and it was surprise to me that the band there isn't band anymore. Do you know why they end up their career
Was that
for
you think
today?
you're talking about for today, right?
For today, yeah.
I I was reading some. I stopped because I was following them for a while, and then I kind of just stopped following them. I'm not sure why. Maybe I was listening to other kinds of music.
Mm,
For some reason, maybe because they didn't put out a new album in such a long time, that I stopped following them. And before, um, jumping into social media like YouTube, I was not really into social media. So I was not spending time on Facebook or Instagram. Actually, I didn't even have an Instagram. So I think that's a big way of how people find out about music or follow their artists now. Instagram and any of those social media outlets. So, but I read that I think the drummer um, actually is doing went into doing missions, like missionary work, somewhere in Africa. Um, the lead singer Manny Montgomery, um, I think he he hit calling to be a pastor, so he's a pastor now. So I think
Mm,
he kind of just went in that direction,
mm,
and I'm not sure what happened to the other individuals. I think they started a new band, um, or in the process of playing with other bands. I think they
mm.
play in churches. Um, yeah, but they were a big. I think they were a very big inspirational band for a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah. I especially like the album. No, no, the song that was. What was the song name? Uh, it has the really cool looking music video also, and it's about how in nowadays they are still like human trading.
Fight the Silence.
Oh, Fight the Silence, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
It
white album.
it yeah, a great song, yeah, and a great
Yeah,
music video, especially also.
yeah, that was
It's
that
like
was a that was a
touching,
big one.
touching one. And also on your what you mentioned was also this. What was the band name? The Christian folk band. What it
Was
was
it
it
As It
kind of
Is, the first one I did, or was it
yeah,
Earth
yeah,
Festivals?
yeah, yeah, that one. Yeah, that was quite surprising for me to hear something like that. So in that genre, Christian music.
Yeah, a lot of them were really under the radar. I think,
Mm,
and I think they were also influenced a lot by the folk movement and the love movement that was going on in the '60s, where there was a lot of kind of little revolutions going on as
mm,
far as political and musically, religiously. Um, a lot of race revolution here in the U.S. A lot of laws being created. So I think all that kind of played a part into it. I also was gonna maybe in the near future when I have more spare time. I mentioned I will talk about the Jesus movement of the '60s and '70s and how that was a big spark of all that music that was coming out at that time that
mm,
were influenced by actually one of the biggest records that kind of influenced that was the Simon and Garfunkel record, um,
mm.
the first one they released. Um, yeah, so it's a lot of information that kind of would like to share at some point. But I do have. I remember. I think I showed a book um, that kind of had a lot of those records, like for people who are interested in collecting or diving into the history of that type of music. Um, the book is called The Archivist, and I believe the author's name is Ken Scott. And the book is about this thick, and it's just and this guy went and has gotten those records and sampled them, and he did like mini reviews of each record in that book. And I've shared a couple of them in the Alphabet videos, but it's a lot of those records are kind of pricey because they were privately pressed, so there were not a lot pressed at the time.
By the way, Vinyl Rundown is writing, I'm trying to do Finnish alphabet, but none of my bands have umlauts. So do you have any band names that has like or like, you know, uh,
Those are the letters, huh?
yeah. Do you have any bands that have those letters?
I don't
Especially
think I have.
yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
gonna do one with those letters?
Well, I'm not sure. Do I have either?
Or you have to look?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Do I have any that starts with them? Um, maybe I have something with but I'm not sure. Well, let's see if I find. But yeah,
I
I'll
think I
do.
ordered. I think I ordered some records that have one of those letters, but it doesn't begin with that letter.
Hmm. Well, there's always Mötley Crüe. Isn't that Mötley Crüe has at least when you write Mötley Crüe, it's usually written. It's usually written this way, but it still it doesn't start with
Right.
But hey, I've been doing also this alphabet because because you are the reason for it, and you have listened to some of bands that I have mentioned. What you remember from those?
I remember that band Renegades. Was it a song named Renegades?
It was song name, yeah.
The song named Renegades. I can't remember the
Yeah.
name of the band.
Beats and Styles.
Is that a Finnish name?
Uh, do you mean what? Is it that Finnish name?
It wasn't a Finnish name, was it?
No, it's not in Finnish. It's English. And they originally they were called Alimo and Control, and then they were doing also Finnish, like music that their vocals was in Finnish. But then they started doing beats and styles, and they started doing vocals in English.
Right. Well, I remember that the music video that I watched for a couple of their songs, they were pretty interesting, pretty lively. They looked like they were having lots of fun. One of them, I remember one of the video, they were like in a ship or a boat, kind of like having like a party. It was pretty interesting to.
Yeah.
They gave me a little bit of flashbacks of music I was listening to, like late '90s, early 2000s, where you had bands who were a lot of new metal bands, especially, but there were a lot of bands who were mixing rap with rock music and kind of bringing in that mix of music. That's kind of what like it reminded me of, taking me back to those days when I was, how old was I? I was in my early 20s, late 19 year old.
Yeah, that is one reason that I like that band, that they are mixing different styles in their music. Or
Yeah.
Warn, there isn't band anymore. I guess you didn't notice that on that Renegade song that there is a guitarist and a singer also that they are originally from band called Hanoi Rocks. Do you know Hanoi Rocks by the name?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, Hanoi Rocks was influencing bands like Guns N' Roses and that kind of like and hair metal bands. And if you look from Wikipedia, Hanoi Rocks, you'll find out that
Okay, I'm looking them
there is
up.
yeah there is mentioned also that.
Greg says he found Husker Du.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's I didn't know this. Yeah,
I haven't
it
heard
was.
much of Husker Du. I've only sampled a couple of their
Yeah,
albums.
same. Yeah, same with me. I have listened just a couple of songs from here and there, but I don't remember that I have listened whole album from start to end.
I can't recall any of their songs. I actually found out about them through a comic I was
Mm,
reading.
what comic?
I'm trying to remember what the name of it was. What was the name? It was a comic. It's not a it wasn't like by Marvel or DC Comics. It was
Mm,
an independent label comic, and it was about a couple of uh, a group of punk rockers, and they talked about how with the music they were listening to, and one of the bands that character was listening to was Husker Du.
mm,
So once I was reading that comic, I went to sample the band, and that's how I found out about them.
mm. By the way, just because you mentioned comic books, have you read? You know band Skillet, right?
Who?
Skillet.
Skillet, yes.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
remember you showed a. Did you show a comic book once? I believe.
yes. You haven't read it.
I haven't read any other stuff, as well as the other
Okay.
band who's done comics. I think it's Coheed and Cambria, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. They've also been producing comics, which I have not read.
Okay. Yeah.
Haven't got around to it.
Yeah. And Skillet's this main man, John Cooper, a singer, he just released or just releasing book by himself. Uh,
Oh,
I
was it a
I don't.
memoir?
No, it's something. I think it's more like religious book,
Okay.
but I don't remember what was the name of it. Something maybe something truth or something like that.
Did you ever like the band Corn?
Yeah, I like it. Let's say I like the albums that Brian Head is also playing. In the middle of when Brian Head left the band, uh, they didn't make so strong albums,
I think so
uh,
too.
and they yeah they tried everything like the Skrillex album wasn't my thing.
Yeah, I think I sampled Skrillex once and I couldn't get into them.
Yeah.
It was I don't know the vibe. I couldn't get into them. But yeah, I was actually Korn was one of my favorite bands in high school.
Okay.
I had
Yeah.
all their albums, and I was following them for a while. I
Mm.
saw them live in 1999.
Oh.
I believe
Yeah.
they opened for Metallica.
Oh. Yeah. I saw them. Was it 2005 maybe?
2005.
but Brian Hedberg wasn't in the band then.
He wasn't in the band
So
then, so that must have been like a little bit after Untouchables.
yeah, something like that. But it was still good. But fun thing is that uh, they it, they were main band for that evening, and before them was playing this Finnish how could I say folk metal band Fintroll, which is totally different style, totally different style, and they were just playing and standing, and it was really boring. They were in wrong place, totally wrong place. But were you going to say something about corn?
No, I was just remembering that I was reading about Jonathan Davis. I believe last year his mother and his wife died,
Mm,
passed away. I think in the same month.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
pretty tragic, and he had just released an album. Have you listened to it? I think it's called Labyrinth or something.
I think I listened it once, but I haven't bought it. But uh, I think it would be nice to have. Uh,
I've been watching it on. Sometimes I put stuff on Amazon to check for the
mm,
prices to go down. That's one of the albums I have,
yeah, yeah,
watching for the price
yeah.
to go down. Yeah, but I feel like I don't know if you feel the same way. A lot of the bands that I was really into a long time ago,
Mm,
um, some of the stuff they put out, like their new stuff, I don't feel it's memorable enough like their old stuff.
mm,
I think Korn is one of them for me.
mm,
Um, like I'll sample their records because it's Korn,
mm,
but not necessarily. I think I would buy one of their records. I think unless something sticks out from that album,
mm.
Korn is one of those bands. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if you feel the same way about some bands or some.
Yeah, I understand you. But my relationship for corn is maybe a little bit different. I never was really big fan when they started to come as a big. Um I always loved their sound. I remember a moment when I heard like really well the sound of that band. It was so different for everything else. At least I thought so back then. But it nowadays I like it more. It started to grow how much I like them. But then when Brian had went away, I was like, okay, it's not the same band anymore. But now when he came back, I have to say that I like the albums and this new album. There's a couple of moments that are quite heavy and it's even darker albums before it, like lately these albums.
Mm.
So maybe that's one reason I like the new album quite much.
I need to go and sample it again because
Yeah.
because I don't remember much. I know I've heard it, but I don't remember. There's not a
Mm,
song that I remember. I don't remember a riff or a song title.
yeah.
Um, it's yeah. There's a few bands that happens to me with, and
Mm,
it's weird because I really loved Korn. Korn
mm,
was one of the bands I really loved and followed. I
mm,
had all their albums up to when they released like an unplugged album with a live
mm.
unplugged
Eh,
album, and the bass player also released an album. I don't know if you heard. Fieldy. He even released an album. It's called Fieldy's Dreams.
Oh, this new one. No, no, no. The rap album.
Yeah, it was like a rap album, like
Yeah, yeah,
back in the 2000s, early 2000s.
yeah.
It was uh
Wasn't my thing.
it was it was interesting.
Yeah.
But they always had that vibe, like they were just different. There were
Mm,
this heavy metal guys who dressed like gangsters,
mm,
which to me was kind of like a little bit culture shock. I'm
mm.
not sure in Finland how it is, but here, I mean, you don't expect a person who's dressed like a gangster, or with baggy clothes to be playing heavy metal music, which
No.
was um, yeah, I
At
kind of
least it, yeah.
go ahead.
At least it used to be like that. But maybe Korn and other bands are making things different, and Rage Against the Machine and other that kind of bands and Body Count, and they are breaking through. And also nowadays you can be like however you are looking. I remember a couple of moments when I have been in metal festival, and there is people, because I have used to that when you go to metal festival, everyone is wearing black.
Mm.
It's yeah, it's my friend. He's wearing black T-shirt, and but in the moment when you saw that, I call them like summer guys wearing clothes that are like they have yellow, blue, pink, and what? This is metal festival. How you are here? So, but yeah, it's different nowadays maybe. Uh,
Yeah, a lot of
Hey,
concert vibes are a little bit different. I've even seen some kids at some of these concerts, like really young kids. Good evening, Prog Hat. Hey, Steve Carlson.
yeah. Well, to you, Brockhat, I can say good night because it's over the midnight.
It's almost one
Uh,
o'clock over there, right? It's afternoon over here.
um, Steve Carlson, what letter are you on? Well, next letter is I. Do you, by the way, have any idea what the next band or artist will be? What you're
I do.
gonna show
I
on I?
do. I have two artists for the letter I. I was
Mm,
still debating on which one to talk about. Kind of stick with the theme of I. The spiritual themes that albums that
mm,
I'm doing. I was surprised. I only have one album of one artist with the letter I. This has been
oh,
the hardest artist and band to find. Only one
mm,
artist. Um, None records. I only found a CD. Um,
mm,
and then I have one of my favorite bands of all time that starts with the letter I.
mm,
So I was debating which one to kind of share next.
mm.
Should I share it now or should I wait?
I don't know. Maybe you can uh, share something about it. I'm not sure either. Should I like? I've been showing some spiritual or Christian related bands because I know that you listen quite much that kind of stuff. At least I if I understood right. So I've been trying to find something like that also to show for this alphabet, but everything isn't on my channel about it. So I have
Yeah,
little video for that.
Well, let me show something that's not spiritually related, but it's been an important band for me.
Steve Carlson, I had an Ice House album, decent band from the 80s. I have no idea what is Ice House,
Never
but
heard of them. But this is
I
what the other band I was gonna talk about. Maybe.
it's
Have you heard this album? Interpol.
mm, what what I have to.
I'm not sure if you can see that. Yeah, I was kind of debating
Yeah.
what to show, but that was one of the first bands that came to mind. It's been one of my favorite bands. Every time they come out to LA, we try to go see them. I have a friend she's kind of like my concert friend. So every time they come by, we go together. Yeah, and pretty much every album they put out has been good. The last few not too solid like their first few albums, but definitely they still have their sound. And it's similar to what you were saying, how Korn, you didn't really like the albums when Brian left.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar with Interpol. There was the bass player, Carlos D, ended up leaving the band and changed their sound a little bit. And you can really tell on their first album they put out without him. It felt like they were struggling to kind of keep their sound and struggling to keep who they were as their identity, who they were as a band. So it's been interesting because that album, or maybe the second album, the lead singer actually played bass on the album, and he's the guitarist and lead singer. So I think they did overdubs on the album where he went in and he played the bass and guitar. So it was an interesting recording process, I think, for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sometimes there are bands like it can change, lineup can change. There's just singer staying, and it's still quite. It sounds like that band, but sometimes just one change and it changes really badly. Also, band.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands that have a lot of lineup changes, I believe. I think The Cure, don't they have a lot of lineup changes? And
Yeah.
Megadeth.
And
So,
and then Smashing Pumpkins.
Smashing Pumpkins, yeah.
But Rammstein, they have been the same band from the beginning. It's
Wow.
about 20, wait a minute, 25 years. No? Yeah, 25 years.
They must
Or
have a
30.
really good relationship in order to have.
Yeah. Or they just know how to fight.
Oh, that's yeah, that's true. They just know how to fight.
That's like in marriage, one of the most important thing is know how to fight. Jürgen asks, Mr. F, how are you today? Well, Jürgen, I know in Sweden it's quite late also, so you should be in sleep also. Hey Jürgen, hey Steve, shouldn't you be in bed? That I was saying it would be way too past my bedtime. Well, not yet, Dad. 20 minutes to midnight. Well, here it's already midnight, has been. And 10 is bedtime. This is also fun thing that I have noticed in a vinyl community. Like Steve uses low there. That adult people like me and you, we push the hard for someone videos and use words like low and because at least 10 years ago I was used to that young girls are using that kind of language and way to talk. When that changed?
When did it change? I feel like I didn't even notice a lot of things like that. You know, they come up with so much little things like LAM, AOF, LMAO, LOL.
I
Others
have
are
to go
so
Google them. I have to go Google them. I'm always like, what is he saying? But hey, do you know any bands that lineup hasn't changed that you like still?
yeah, this band right here. I just got their newest album. The band is Thrice. There's a lot of glare there. This is their latest one. Maybe the other side will be more.
And what kind of?
This band right here. It's another one of my favorite bands, and I follow them. I have every one of their records. They've been an interesting band too. They've had their sound change throughout their whole career, but there have been good changes though. Sometimes when a band changes like their sound, you kind of just stop listening to them because they're not that band, you know. But this band has consistently put out like good records. For me, this last one is probably like their weakest album, and now they're on Epitaph. They're on Epitaph Records now. Are you familiar with Epitaph Records?
Yeah. I have. I don't remember right now what bands they have, but I know.
The punk. They're all punk bands. I don't know any other new bands on their label, but Bad Religion is their big one. I think the owners are a couple of the Bad Religion members. But the band, The Rise, has their first two albums, Mr. Finish, they sound like you're familiar with Avenged Sevenfold. They sound like Avenged Sevenfold. Then they completely lost, not lost their sound, but they slowed down because their first two records were pretty much really fast.
Yeah.
Then they became kind of like this rock band, modern rock sound with a little bit of folk influences, but they're still making really great songs. That's the thing with this band, really memorable songs. With each new album, they at least have a few memorable songs from each album. Where kind of like going back to what I was saying with like Korn, I don't remember any of the songs of the last few albums they put out. So I kind of lost a big interest in the band. Like I said, I'll still kind of follow them and sample their records, just to kind of see like what are they're sounding like now.
I have to say about because you mentioned again Gorn and their latest stuff. I have to mention that when I was listening their latest album, I listened it. I usually listen music from Spotify while I'm working. Otherwise, I don't. I listen CDs or vinyl. But when I work, I listen quite often Spotify. Mm. And I listened Chords, this new album. Well, it's not so new anymore, but when it was, and I was like, wow, this drumming. Some parts with drummings was quite different for what it has been.
Mm.
Just some short things there. So that's one reason that I liked the new album, the drumming.
I'm gonna have to sample it again.
Yeah,
Bye, Steve. I'm not sure if you're
yeah,
gone already, but
yeah,
you have a
maybe.
good tenor.
Yeah, but okay, hey, let's go back to alphabets and 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 your alphabet. You mentioned also this David
Yes.
Bazan, and I went to listen also his stuff, and and the most interesting thing for me on it was that the documentary that you mentioned, but I didn't find it on YouTube, just a trailer. So
Yeah, I
maybe.
haven't watched it either. I
Mm,
was going to. I was searching to see if they had a physical copy, but it looks like it only came out digitally,
yeah.
and I think Amazon has it. Might be the only one of the. I think there were two places who only had it. I think Amazon was one of them, and I was
Mm,
still debating if like should I buy it because
yeah.
you can buy it or you can rent it.
Mm,
But I think I'm gonna buy it um, when I have some extra money. But it looked really interesting. I heard some good reviews from it, and I also mentioned that he does live streams every week. I was
okay.
able to catch like two of them, but because
Yeah.
of work and the time and having a baby, it does not always work out the
Mm,
time he comes on.
mm,
But the times we've seen him live, my wife and I, he sounds so amazing that the records and the CDs, the way he sounds, his recording sound does not match how this guy sounds live. Like there's no comparison.
mm,
He sounds so amazing live. Like such a unique voice. Um, yeah, he's one of the few singers that actually yeah, they just make you feel something as they're singing their songs.
mm,
Were you
yeah.
able to sample that album? I think I talked about the.
Yeah, I like the album that wasn't he the guy that there was on the same album was like two versions from same songs.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the I like that style. That was a really good idea, and it it's like sometimes it can open the songs differently, or it can bring different like feeling for yourself when it's played differently. So that was one thing I like with him, even though it didn't. It was okay for me, but it wasn't anything. Maybe I don't know how much it's about lyrics for you.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting record. It's pretty short, five songs, I believe,
Mm,
where he I think he plays all the instruments in that record. That
yeah.
first side is it's kind of like a full band experience, and then side B is just him and the guitar. Um,
Mm,
I feel like I like the one with just the guitar better. like
Mm,
stripped down and just him and the guitar. I
yeah.
think probably because when I seen him live, that's the way kind of he performs. It's just him and the guitar, so kind of brings back the live experience. But the last song on that record really kind of resonates with me as if you remember, it starts with it's just like the bass and the drums. Do 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 do. Feels
No,
like
I don't.
I think it's the heaviest song on that
Mm,
album. It's the last one on the
mm. I
yeah.
still listen that couple of times. That album that has the same songs couple of times. So
Wow. Okay.
but, yeah. But other ones that you mentioned was the jazz album. What got you in the jazz music was, or is it just this isn't your cup of tea normally?
Which one?
Um, the the spiritual jazz album, what it was called? Charles Gale, Gaule, Charles Charles Gale.
I remember.
This this guy.
Oh, Charles Gale. Charles Gale is yeah, that guy was interesting.
Yeah.
Um, it's
Because
a
I
hard
tried
listen.
to,
It's a
yeah,
hard
I
listen,
tried
right?
to, and my wife was in the end, no more, no.
Kind of like what my wife would say.
Yeah,
I usually have to turn everything off when she comes in.
yeah.
Yeah, he's a hard listen. I was listening to listening to him when I ran across going through spiritual jazz music and just trying to sample um I guess what they label spiritual jazz.
Mm,
Um yeah, a lot of the stuff I ran into was interesting. Some of the stuff I had a hard time kind of like your experience with Charles Gale. I just had a hard time listening to it and just sitting there through the whole album. It was hard.
mm,
So when I was kind of taking a deep dive into listening to that type of music, I ran into this guy Charles Gale because I was interested on. There are a lot of spiritual jazz like artists or music, and I was wondering if there were any Christian spiritual jazz musicians, and he was one of the ones that showed up. So I sampled him, and I was like, all right, this is okay, this is interesting. And the first album I sampled was from the ESP disc label, which is it's actually a pretty famous record label for a lot of jazz collectors.
mm.
And yeah, I found his music a little bit different than other artists. Um, it's some of his stuff is hard to listen to, um, like a lot of spiritual jazz or avant-garde jazz is. You have to like acquire a taste to it. What was your experience listening to it?
Well, I was thinking when this will end. Because, well, I haven't mentioned this so many, but sometimes I have mentioned that usually jazz isn't my thing. Uh, we have just, well, now I have new jazz album actually,
Oh wow.
because I bought this stack of CDs, and one of their albums was their jazz album. I haven't listened it yet, but I will. I will. But yeah, otherwise, we have just like, do we have two or three jazz albums, and two of them is like these collaborations with hip hop artist or rap artist and jazz band. And with that, I like it's more like big band music than free jazz music, maybe.
Right.
So, and together with rap artist, it works quite nice.
It's interesting because a lot of the rap music, hip hop music, they all sampled jazz records and
Mm,
soul records from back in the day. So I think that was like my first exposure to jazz, listening to
yeah,
hip hop and all their samples.
yeah.
Yeah, but Charles Gale was what kind of stood out from him was him being homeless for I think it was it 12, 15 years being homeless, and him being like a street performer, and then he kind of end up taking this identity. He started dressing up as a clown and performing.
Mm.
Um,
That's actually quite nice idea.
it's interesting because it brought me back memories of a lot of people do that in Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah, like street performers.
Mm,
People who don't have like a real job or you just need extra money, they end up doing
mm,
things like that for to survive. So I thought that was really interesting with but the way he did it, I think he made a choice to be a homeless person. I think he wanted to go through that experience,
mm,
which was pretty interesting. Yeah.
mm. If you this casting was something that you were like uh, going to listen something new for you back then, is there something that you would like to get more deep into some style of or genre music right now?
You mean when I was younger? What I would
No,
I
no. Is there right now? In what kind of style or genre would you like to go deeper that you don't style or genre that you don't know so well right now?
um maybe a little bit of I still kind of like blur the lines of what doom metal is and trash metal is and
Mm,
what all these little subgenres of metal is. So I'm easily learning a little bit of the subgenres. There's even a subgenre I found out that they call it atmospheric black metal.
mm,
I'm not sure if you're familiar
yeah,
with that
I am.
term, or if you've heard it, but that was something new to me that I just recently found
Mm,
atmospheric black metal, and I sampled a couple of the bands, and I kind of liked the liked the sound.
mm. I like quite what death metal that are atmospheric and epic.
So, which
Mm.
ones will you recommend?
Well, I can recommend band like Winter Sun, and um, that's that's also something else that not just death metal. There's also power metal in music
Hmm.
and symphonic that kind of stuff. But more like death metal is a band called Insomnium.
So,
It's
so the band I was listening to, and I ordered their record is
that's
called.
by the way Insomnium.
Oh, there you go. Maybe it'll be the next one you talk about. So the
Yeah.
one I was talking about is Vials of Wrath. Was I ordered a couple of the records. I really like their sound. It was called atmospheric black metal, something new to me. So I'm slowly kind of like sampling a little bit. There's some stuff that I don't like. Uh, with
Mm,
with that one seemed kind of like my cup of tea.
mm.
Let me see if I can
Yeah.
I put it on there too. Can I comment on there?
Mm, no, don't please put music on. So I don't. I don't want that YouTube uh, gives me anything for playing music. But mm, you mentioned now black metal and atmospheric black metal, and when it was age, you play mentioned you were talking about Horde,
Mm-hmm.
this uh, first at least they are said that it's first Christian black metal or on black metal or experimental hardcore. I don't know
Yeah.
what they want to call it. But have you listened also like straight black metal, like Burzum, Immortal, uh, Dimmu Borgir, that kind of stuff before Horde?
Yeah. I think it was weird, like my musical journey. I think like right after high school. So
Mm,
me and my brother have kind of like, I feel like we influence each other on what new stuff we listen to. And he started getting really into metal after high school, so around like early 2000s. He was listening to a lot of those kind of bands. So
mm,
I was able to sample some of that music. So it was yeah, it was interesting. Some of the stuff I did not like. There was some metal bands that I did end up liking, and I kind of followed them throughout the years. Metal bands, but not like black metal bands.
mm,
Um, no, Killswitch Engage was one of them that came out through that time that I really liked their sound and their lyrics and what they were going, um, trying to express themselves. Um, yeah, but a lot of those bands, like those kind of bands, I've sampled their music or albums maybe like once and never revisit
mm.
their music. Um, because it was that was a long time ago though. That was like almost 20 years ago, early 2000s. A lot of that music that came out during that time. Um, there's other bands that I kind of wanna sample, but I don't know if I should. Like the band Venom,
Mm,
and there are some other bands that it seems to be like they're like the pioneers or the bands that kind of like started that type of music. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't. I'm not sure if I'm like really interested into kind of doing that, but I kind of do want to historically kind of want to understand how did
mm.
that type of music progress through through time.
Have Have you seen this documentary about experimental? No, no. What it was? Documentary called. Uh, Wait a minute. It's about harder side of metal music.
Oh,
It's also on YouTube. You can find it. It's Banger TV. they have made documentary
Hmm. I'm gonna have to check
jungle
it out.
TV.
So, Mr. Fillingish, have you always listened to metal music? Because I know you always show a lot of you show a variety, but mostly I feel like you show a lot of metal. Um,
Yeah. Well, yes and no. Um, it depends what you think about metal music. If if you can call also Alice Cooper and Uriah Heep and Sabbath as metal bands, then I would say I have listened almost always.
mm,
But no, I don't know. Even though I show uh, quite much metal music, I listen also Finnish Schlager music, uh, old people's dance music, or however you want to call it, and like 70s folk style music, or almost everything but jazz.
you
Uh,
just can't get into jazz, huh?
no, or and also techno music like Skrillex or this that kind of techno music. Uh, I'm not I'm not interested. But
How
yeah,
about classical music?
yeah, I love classical music. Um, it's uh, Von Krieg. I like what he has done, and and Von Krieg's Bear Tunes is awesome. Um, um, John Sebastian Bach music I like also. Um, I just listened today. How you I listened some classical music and then I just realized that I like more Bach music or Mozart.
I just listened to Tchaikovsky today, the Nutcracker Suite, since it's Christmas time
Hmm. I
music.
have to say that I haven't listened Tchaikovsky so much. I can't even I know Tchaikovsky, but I don't have so much to say about it. Same go with Wagner. Uh, Wagner has some really cool stuff. I know that there are parts that I like, but I haven't listened enough his music because
Yeah, me too. He's one of the ones I haven't really gotten into deep dive through his
mm,
compositions.
yeah. But I guess you like classical music because you mentioned it.
Yeah, I feel like the last couple of years I've gotten into more into classical music um, because of my son.
Mm.
You know, a lot of people say play classical music to your
Oh.
baby for their brain development.
Mm.
Um, I've always listened to classical music like throughout my life. You know, usually when I just want something new to listen to, like something to kind of refresh my ears and my brain, or sometimes when I'm studying or need to focus on something specific task.
Mm.
Um, I listened to classical music throughout my life, but I feel
Mm.
like the last couple of years, when my son was born, um, it felt like that was something my wife would tolerate. classical
Say
music.
again?
Her something my wife would tolerate was classical
Yeah, oh yeah,
music.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, her dad loved classical music. That's the only
Mm,
music he listened to. Um, so when I would play it, that would kind of remind her of her dad.
mm,
Um, so the last couple of years, yeah, I've been listening to a lot of, I would say, a good amount of classical music, especially with my son around. Definitely, I'm not playing death metal or atmospheric metal when he's here, or rap or psychedelic rock or anything like that. Um, yeah, it's mostly classical music. So that's kind of like a lot of my time the last 2 years has been playing a lot of classical music and jazz.
mm. I can imagine that, like playing some death metal or whatever, because the lyrics are quite hard for kids, and there are a lot of bad words or dirty words like hip hop. So I understand you avoid them.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting because he's already kind of like listening to the music, and he is already moving to the sounds of the music. Um,
Mm,
but it's only after we listen to kind of like that, he just wants to listen to his music, which is a couple of songs that he really likes, and it's just those songs over and over and over. And it's okay, okay, I'm gonna listen to this song over again.
yeah,
He loves that Baby Shark song right now. Have you heard that?
Baby
It's
Shark. The,
Baby Shark. Yes.
yeah, I have heard that. Uh,
So imagine listening to that every day, multiple
yeah.
times.
Oh no. I That is one thing I love. Kids music also.
Me too. I
Like
have a little kids collection. I've been
yeah.
meaning to show it, but I haven't made a video for it.
Mhm. Last year summer, I found this vinyl a collection. If I remember right, there was a 8 vinyl, and it was full of old uh, classic Finnish kids music, and it cost only 50 cents,
Wow, that's cheap.
half euro. So what it US dollars? It under 1 buck.
Nice score.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Hey, but
I try to grab any Sesame Street album that I see.
mm, that's one thing also that Sesame Street records are mentioned quite often on vinyl committee. But for me, they never has been so big thing.
You never
I
run
don't.
into them?
mm, I know them, but um, uh,
It wasn't
I
it's not a thing in Finland,
it's I think it's never been the same kind of thing that it's in States.
right?
I don't remember ever seeing it on TV or or something like that.
Yeah, what here in the States it's not on the major channels.
Mm,
It's on a different channel because it's kind of like an independent. They call it the Public Broadcasting Station,
mm,
PBS. That's the channel they played it in, and those are the channels that usually show like documentaries and like learning shows. And throughout the whole morning, they always play like kids shows or
okay.
kids for shows for the kids. That's what they showed Sesame Street when I was growing up.
Mm,
Yeah, it was never in the big channels.
mm. Yeah, yeah, but it has been interesting to see uh, all those different kind of Sesame Streets vinyl they have made.
Some of them are really funny. Like I think they have a Saturday Night Fever
Yeah,
one with a cover. They remade the cover. It's yeah. Some of them are really funny and creative.
mm, that's right. Hey, but it's 1 o'clock or even more right now. Maybe we have to um, stop streaming now, and we'll do a next alphabet video maybe next weekend or
Sounds good.
some something else.
Yeah.
But
If I don't put it out this weekend, I'll put one out next week.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm not doing it this weekend because tomorrow in Finland, well, actually today because it's already tomorrow. Uh, Today it's going to be Independence Day,
Oh, wow.
and we're celebrating our Finland.
I hope you have
And,
fun. What do you guys do for that event?
well, usually the biggest thing is to watch uh, presidents uh,
Speech?
celebrating. Well, speech also, but celebrating from the where has all parliament people come and some celebrities and sport guys and girls and but because of the situation in the world, there's no uh, president's meeting at all and no parade and I don't know what's what kind of program it will be. And also one thing is that every Independence Day they show this Finnish uh, movie Unknown Soldier that it's about a war that we had with Russia. Same
Unknown soldier.
once a year,
All right. We'll have
but
you have
yeah,
fun. What do you guys eat?
yeah.
Because I hear for Independence Day, as far as the U.S., it's like summer food, like hot dogs and people do barbecues.
Mm. Well, here it's winter right now, but I don't know. I never had mm, for Independence Day that kind of food relating related party. But we're going to eat something really non-Finnish tomorrow: hamburgers.
Nice, my
Uh,
favorites.
and some really Finnish sausage also with potatoes.
Sounds like a great meal.
Mhm. But hey,
What
I wish you what? Mm, say again. What were going to say?
so that sounds like a great meal, and thanks for having me on the live stream here.
Hey, thanks for you, and we see on Alphabet videos again. And thanks for everyone if you watched this to the end.